Good morning. I'm Anita Finley. It is my pleasure to introduce you to an extraordinary physician, Stephen Charlap, MD, founder and medical director of MDPrevent, a prevention and wellness-oriented primary care medical practice. Dr. Charlap, thank you for telling us about your unique medical practice right here in Delray Beach. So, there's so much. When I went to see your practice, I was pretty much amazed at what you have been able to get there in a very large office right there in our little city of Delray Beach. So tell us about it.
Sure. So by way of background, after I completed my medical school and surgical training, medical school at New York University and surgical training at the Beth Israel Medical Center in New York, I went to Harvard Business School and got an MBA. I took those combined degrees and I founded in 1989 an organization that grew to be the largest provider of medical and dental services to the extended care industry. Over some 20 years, took care of some 5 million patients who had been placed in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. And during that period of caring for them, it became very clear to me that many Americans ultimately suffer from chronic diseases that require institutionalization. And that was unfortunate because many of these chronic diseases, it turns out, are preventable. Diseases such as heart disease, and cancer, and diabetes, strokes, and even dementia. And when I discovered in 2010 that Medicare was adding a new benefit called the annual wellness visit, I got very excited because during my 20 years of taking care of the patients who lived in the nursing homes and assisted living, I had three major frustrations. The first frustration was that the patients were very sick and very old, and there was very little that we could do for them other than make their lives as comfortable as possible. Two, the government didn't believe in allowing us to be proactive, and so we could never really focus on preventing problems. We could only focus on treating them. And finally, we had to work with the folks who ran those facilities, and let's just say they weren't always the easiest people to work with. So I sold that practice in 2008. I retired for a year. I almost lost my mind. Then I came back to run it for a while, and then eventually I decided it was time to move on, and that's when I discovered that Medicare was adding this new benefit. And this new benefit got me genuinely excited because, in essence, this was the first time that Medicare was going to pay a doctor to actually spend time with the patient, not simply treating an ill or a pill for an ill, but rather to identify problems or factors in the patient's life that could turn into much more serious and life-threatening problems. And so I started investigating all the different aspects of preventative medicine in the United States, and I went on a kind of whirlwind tour, went to visit the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio and spoke to Michael Roizen, who's the Chief Wellness Officer, and I spoke to the people at the American College of Preventive Medicine, and I spoke to Joanne Manson at Harvard and to Dean Ornish at the Spectrum Institute, and I spoke to the people at Pritikin, and I spoke to people all over the country that were considered the leaders of prevention. And I realized that the annual wellness visit in and of itself wasn't going to solve any major problems, because once you identify the risk factors in somebody's lifestyle, that's not enough. You need to give them a plan. You need to assist them, support them, and guide them to making those critical lifestyle changes. And so I decided that I needed to build a better model. And I began to gather some very skilled and experienced professionals, people with PhD in education, and nurse practitioners, and health psychologists, and registered dietitians, and exercise physiologists, and certified yoga instructors, and health instructors, and even a health chef. And I built a 4,500 square foot center in Delray. It's a beautiful center. I built it to be beautiful both for the people who work there and for the people who visit us. And this center is really meant to help people achieve optimal health. Whether you want to improve your memory and avoid dementia, whether you want to eat properly and avoid cancer, whether you want to avoid those foods that may result in diabetes or lead to heart disease and eventually heart attacks and strokes, we have a multidisciplinary team that works in a very integrated fashion We often talk to each other about the patients who come in. We consult with each other. We've also have 3 certified diabetes educators, and we're an accredited diabetes education center. And finally, we are one of the only programs, if not the only program in the country that we're aware of, that's currently offering Medicare 100% paid weight loss counseling, in a program that's based on a program developed at the Veterans Administration. And we, in our first 3 months, have over 60 patients now participating in that program. So I hope that wasn't too much to swallow at one time, but I'm very excited about what we're doing. We're really changing people's lives. People are losing weight. People are lowering their blood sugar. People are lowering their cholesterol. People are stopping to take supplements and vitamins that they don't need and getting off prescription medications that they've been on for too long for no good reason. And we're getting a lot of rave reviews from the patients who are coming in.
Well, thank you, Dr. Charlap. I have to say that when I was at your facility, and I'll call it a center, I was very impressed with a large room you have that seemed like people were listening to education. And we all know that people do understand some of the issues now in prevention, but how do they get motivated?
Well, motivation starts from within, and what we do is we try to set the table for them. In other words, we don't try to take the driver's seat and tell them where to go. We take the passenger seat and we put them in front of the wheel. We let them come to their own terms and understanding about what is important to them and what changes they would like to make in their life, and then we provide the support and the tools to help them make those changes. But it all starts with the person. If you're not interested in changing, there's no magic pill or miracle cure that we can give you. In fact, we're not big proponents of pills except when they're absolutely positively necessary. It all starts with the patient, but what we've learned is through having a good empathetic conversation with the patient, we can identify the things that are bothering them, the things in their life that they'd like to improve, the things that they'd like to change, and then make realistic, small incremental changes of habits to eventually see big results.
Sounds like you do a lot of hand-holding, which I believe is necessary because everyone's busy and everyone reads what is told to them about sleeping the proper amount of time and watching what they eat. But it's very important for what you have done to have people there to sit with people, to find out what they've done, to come back, to educate them, to have a caring physician such as you. I mean, I can hear the passion in your voice. So maybe I'd like to tell everybody again, if you've just tuned in, you're listening to Dr. Stephen Charlap, who is the founder and medical director of MDPrevent. It is located in Delray Beach. I'm going to give you a phone number. Remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. Write the phone number down. Make an appointment. It's 561-807-2561. Again, it's 561-807-2561. They're located really at the corner of Military and Linton. One thing that you said, Dr. Charlap, which I think is just amazing, is you have acquired a very fine group of professionals, and each has their own, part of this prevention circle that you have, and you've created this yourself, haven't you?
Yes. I had a financial partner with me, but essentially I created this by myself. And I did it because I am looking to change the world and make it a better place. Fortunately, from the sale of my previous organization, I made enough money to retire. I personally take no compensation from this practice. I'm not interested in the compensation. I am genuinely and honestly and purely interested in improving people's lives. And my ultimate goal, quite frankly, based on my past experience, is to keep people out of nursing homes, okay? It's very easy to demonize nursing homes about these terrible places, but the real solution to the problem is to help people to the extent that they never have to end up in a nursing home. And what the science shows is that the longer you live, the healthier you've been. And the longer you live, actually, the less you spend on your health care. And the longer you live, the less likely you are to develop dementia, although dementia grows as we grow older, but it turns out that the people who grow very old actually do very well. And it's all about lifestyle. And the evidence now for the power of prevention is indisputable. It's not an if, and, or but. You can prevent cancer. You can prevent heart disease and dementia. You can prevent diabetes and strokes and heart attacks, okay? You got to make some changes. They're not super difficult to make in each step of the way, but eventually it pays off. We know that people who live healthy lifestyles live on average 10 years longer than the average American, okay? That could be the difference between not only meeting your great-grandchild, but having a conversation with your great-grandchild, okay? To me, that is worth it, okay? We only live one life. We should make the most of it.
Sounds wonderful. One thing you use is a word, preventioneers. Why don't you explain that?
Well, the group of people we put together are all motivated to find ways to prevent disease. And so we are pioneers of prevention, and so we call ourselves preventioneers, which is the combination of the words prevention and pioneer. So we're very excited to be preventioneers. We have the enthusiasm of preventioneers. We think we're doing amazing work here, and the results to date have been absolutely reassuring.
We hear your passion over the radio lines, I must tell you that. Let's just do something. Let's talk about someone making that phone call. Tell us what would happen. Just give us a general idea. They make the phone call and they make an appointment, and then what?
So before you even come into our office, we first make sure that you haven't had this visit, because we don't want you to get charged by accident. And Medicare covers this visit 100% if you haven't had it. So we will check the Medicare database and confirm that you are entitled to this free visit. Then before you come to our office, we actually do an intake over the phone so that we can gather a lot of critical lifestyle-related information from you, including your health history, some prescriptions, some supplements, etc. And then we ask you to bring all your pills with you, or bring a detailed list, because we will spend as much time as you need to go over that information and tell you what you should be taking and what you shouldn't be taking. And quite frankly, more often than not, we are taking people off of supplements that we know there is no scientific basis to it. We are saving them money by doing so. And then subsequent to the annual wellness visit, where we will spend as much time with you as necessary, an hour, 2 hours, or more, if that's what is required, we will then lay out a plan on what you can do, what programs you can take advantage of that Medicare also covers 100%. And there's a whole smorgasbord now of services available to seniors on Medicare, particularly those with traditional Medicare.
That's excellent. I noticed that you had a great, beautiful kitchen when I went there, and I see that you say cooking classes. Are you actually going to teach people how they should cook so they'll be healthier?
Absolutely. We find that many seniors have stopped cooking. However, to those who continue to cook, we want to teach them about food. In many of our programming, including our weight loss programming, we teach you all about the difference between processed food and natural foods, and how to select the appropriate foods, and to identify your vulnerable moments where you're making your bad food choices. And you can't make good food choices unless you really understand about food. For example, berries are not bananas, they're not apples, they're not oranges, okay? And spinach is not carrots, is not peppers, is not tomatoes. All of these fruits and vegetables have distinct roles in your diet. And it isn't simply a question of, get X number of these and Y number of these, but knowing how to put them together and when to eat them and how to eat them, etc. So we really want to educate you, because like the old Cy Sims commercial, we believe an educated patient is the healthiest patient. Okay, again, we put you in the driver's seat. We give you that driver's education so that you can continue to drive that car late into life.
This is an extraordinary program. I must tell you that I hope people will call, and I know they're going to be having a seminar coming up, and we'll tell you about that in another show. But right now, I want you to know that I'm talking with Dr. Stephen Charlap, who is the founder and medical director of MD Prevent. Now, you can get online. They have an excellent website, and it's MDPrevent.net. MDPrevent.net. It's very unusual to have a physician with such passion and such direction as you, Dr. Charlotte. And it sounds like, of course, you do have a great motivation. You saw it, and I have seen so many people in nursing homes, and your heart just breaks for it. But as a physician, you seem to understand what it's going to take to really make a lot more empty beds in those nursing homes.
Listen, at the end of the day, everything in life is based on what we call a cost-benefit analysis. What does it cost you? What do you get from it? I see what the cost is to human life. I saw it for 20 years. I saw it in the faces of thousands of patients that I directly interacted with who suffered from chronic diseases borne out by unhealthy lifestyles. And yet now we know indisputably that we can prevent that. And no one should have to die alone in a nursing home. No one should have to end up in a nursing home when they can continue to function in society. So it's a very simple premise. If we teach people, if we show people, if we guide them, if we support them, if we encourage them, if we give them a location where they can meet other people in a similar situation that they find themselves, then great things can happen. It's been proven now time and again. Somebody had to do this. I have a unique set of skills. I have resources. I felt morally obligated to take this on, and I am very excited that it has come to fruition and so many people have already begun to benefit from it.
And I'm so happy that you have found your way down here to South Florida in Delray Beach. I love the saying, pills for ills, forget them, and that's very important. Now, my big question is, so how late is it if someone comes in and they've had a lot of these problems and now they're in their 80s? Can you still help them?
You know, it's funny, the other day I gave a lecture to a group of people, and at the end of the lecture I said, who's not coming in for the annual wellness visit? And one lady raised her hand, and I said, why are you not coming? And she said, I'm 100 years old. And I said, what, and you can't be healthier? So I truly believe, I don't care what age you are, okay, there are things you can always do to improve your health and make yourself feel better, whether you're 100 or 80 or 20. We help people of all ages, and we know that small changes can have big impacts, okay? No one's going to live forever, but the point of the matter is no one should die prematurely. And whether it's about memory or whether it's about getting rid of that irritable bowel syndrome or whether it's about the reflux or whether it's about stomach aches or whether it's about weight, there are solutions. You need only want to find them.
Let's talk about the fitness programs. While I was at your center, I noticed a very large room where I believe some people were doing yoga. So you actually have people coming there. It's almost like a senior center in a sense.
We are meant to be a one-stop shop for all things related to wellness and health as well as traditional primary care. We will treat problems if they arise, but our goal is to prevent problems before they happen. And one of the best ways to do that is exercise. But in addition to having a physical space for people to do exercise, we're also a certified Silver Sneakers facility. We teach people exercise that they can do at home without expensive equipment, without paying costly membership fees to some health club. And we charge $5 for non-silver sneakers, and we accept silver sneakers payment in full. So we're not looking to make money here in terms of the traditional, how much money can you make off of people. We're looking to simply cover our costs and provide a great service to the community.
So let's talk about men and women. Who really are the key people in the family? I mean, we always know that women drag their husbands to the doctor's office. Is that still happening? Are you getting male patients?
We are getting both equally. Quite frankly, I'm not a big generalizer. I don't like to generalize. I like to treat people as individuals. And what I find is that people who want to help themselves, it isn't based on their gender, and so anybody who comes to us, in fact, we have probably more male patients at this point than female patients, but I can't speak to that exactly. I just know that we've seen plenty of men and women. People are realizing, again, you have one life. You want to make the most of it, okay? There's never been a resource like this before in the community that people can take advantage of, okay? We're not pushing pills at people. Lots of times when you hear the word prevention, they're trying to do lots of diagnostic tests or they're trying to push pills. We're not trying to do either. We're looking for easy-to-implement solutions that don't cost money or don't cost a lot of money that people can easily implement in their lives.
There's a lot of confusion about vitamins. Will you help people to understand what they should be taking as far as vitamins and other supplements?
Oh, that's a hot topic, okay? For so many years, we've been telling people to take multivitamins as an insurance policy, but it turns out that that's an old wives' tale. Some very recent big studies have shown that not only don't multivitamins help, but they actually hurt. And Dr. Oz isn't helping the situation by telling people on every show to take this supplement and that supplement, okay? Unfortunately, most supplements have never been tested in humans. And there are no studies that show, other than in relationship to one type of eye disease, that any of these antioxidants or supplements or multivitamins of any type affect the course of human life, okay? There's a handful of products that are necessary in case, for example, you don't go out in the sun, or in case you don't eat meat. Then there's a couple of things that are worthwhile. There are some benefits from some other products, but we always advocate a natural source of the product over a pill. When you take a pill, you are robbed of any personal responsibility for your health, and we believe in teaching you how to take control of your life. Again, you're in the driver's seat. You know what you want. We know what you need. Together, we make great health partners.
Well, it's very, very good for people to really listen, but then to do something. You know, I know we have a lot of listeners, but you need to make the phone call. I'm going to give you that number again. I'm going to give you the website, and I'm going to tell you where they're located. This is Dr. Stephen Charlap. He is an MD. He has great credentials. He's located on Linton Boulevard, right there at Military, in one of the centers, in the office, a very large office complex there, and you'll find him at H1. It's called MD Prevent. The phone number to call for information is 561-807-2561. Again, that's 561-807-2561. And then go online. That's the best thing you can do right now. And go to MDPrevent.net. They have a splendid website. You will see lots of things. You'll get a lot of answers to, I'm sure, questions you have. This almost seems too good to be true, Dr. Charlap. I know that you designed this because you're very experienced and you saw all the requirements and necessities that were not being met. Talk again about the government and Medicare. I think I want people to really understand that.
So the government is finally getting it that prevention, in fact, is a critical part of the healthcare equation. Unfortunately, the other day they announced that they're cutting some money out of prevention to pay for physician compensation. But I guess that's, those things happen. But the good news is that doesn't affect the smorgasbord of preventive benefits that the government is offering. Because as we know from Benjamin Franklin, the elder American statesman who once said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Okay? And the old, for lack of a horseshoe, the war was lost. We know prevention works. We know a stitch in time saves 9. I don't want to get cliché-ish here, but the reality is there's truth to these statements, okay? Doing something in a timely fashion can prevent much bigger problems than happening. Seniors know this. Younger people know this. Everybody knows it. And historically, there hasn't been a place that people can come to where their doctor is actually going to focus on preventing problems as opposed to simply treating it. We don't give you 15-minute appointments and try to get you in and out the door in 2 seconds, okay? We give you all the time you need. And I can do this because, for me, this is a philanthropic undertaking, okay? This is a labor of love for me personally. I've put this together to make the world a better place, to help people live happier and healthier and lives filled with positive well-being. So it's a very exciting undertaking. It's amazing how many people have already taken advantage of it. The great thing is I built a very large center. It has the capacity to help many other people. Anita, many seniors live on a fixed income, and they're very concerned about making sure that they can stretch their money out. And many of them look at the different types of investments they have, and they hope that they will continue to pay enough dividends to sustain them through their end of life. But I have to tell you, there is no greater return on investment than an investment in one's health. And by doing small incremental changes and by being supported through the process, people can effectuate change in their lives and lead better, healthier, more vital, higher energy type of lives. This is not magic pills and miracle cures. This is plain old science.
It's great to hear this from you, Dr. Charlap, because so many people feel, well, I'm probably going to get cancer anyway, or, why do I bother? I'm 80 years old. And you are so enthusiastic. This is very, very important for our listening audience to understand this. I certainly hope that people will come to you. They'll take advantage of something. It sounds like this is a unique, you said it was unique, and I don't really know of anything like this. How long did it really take you to develop this?
Well, I think I can honestly say this was 20 years in development, because if it hadn't been for my experience of taking care of patients who were very sick and very old and seeing firsthand what happened to them, I don't know that I would have had the same passion and motivation to start this. But the actual MD Prevent is about 15 months old. It was started in 2010, was heavily developed during 2011. We actually opened up the center in the winter of 2011, and now we've been open for a few months. And it's amazing how patients are coming from all over Florida, and people that even the snowbirds from New York and Michigan and Ohio, people from all over the country have been taking advantage of these services, because quite frankly, they're not getting it anywhere else, okay? Physicians don't want to change the way that they operate. They don't want to start focusing on preventing problems as opposed to treating them. Unfortunately, they spend more time teaching you about malaria in medical school than they do about obesity, and yet most physicians will never see a patient with malaria, but 35.7% of the population suffers from obesity, and 2/3 suffers from being overweight. So unfortunately, doctors don't get the nutritional training, they don't get the exercise physiology training. They don't even get the training how to help people with sleep, per se. They know how to give a sleeping pill, they know how to give a pill for anxiety, they know how to give a pill for depression. But the latest studies show that exercise is the most effective treatment for depression, okay? But it takes time, and doctors don't have time because the system keeps squeezing their reimbursement.
Dr. Charlap, this has been a great interview, and I look forward to having you on next week, and we'll just cover more things. So thank you very much. I hope everyone will call that 561-807-2561 or go on their website, because it's MDPrevent.net. This could change your life. Thank you, Dr. Charlap.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the time.